The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
God of all people, source and ground of all that is and ever can be, we humbly come before you in praise and thanksgiving for all of your many gifts. We thank you for the gift of this day and all that it holds, for we know that in whatever blessings or challenges this day may bring, you will be with us. Open us, gracious God, to your presence and your guidance, that in all that we do, in all that we say, your will and your love may be revealed. And as you open us to receive your grace, open us to truly see and receive each other as gifted expressions of your own Spirit, each worthy of respect, compassion, and love. God, bless this legislative body, its members, their families, the legislative staff, and all who are a part of this important work of our government. The issues before them are daunting, and there are no simple or easy solutions. Guide them and keep them ever mindful that at the end of every debate and decision are the lives, needs, and well-being of your beloved people. Holy and gracious God, we pray for those afflicted, those who have died, and those who have lost loved ones to this COVID pandemic. We pray, too, for those lives that have been lost to far too much violence in our streets and in our homes. While we come from many different places with different experiences, understandings, and perspectives, unite us in our resolve to fully listen to and care for one another, and especially for the most vulnerable and marginalized among us. God bless this House of Representatives and bless this great state of Minnesota. Amen.
The chaplain for today is Reverend Kevin Schill, retired from United Methodist. He's a retired United Methodist pastor from New Brighton, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members, when the chief clerk calls the roll today to establish a quorum, please state your name, your location, that you are present, and members using the remote voting application should also press the green yes button when your name is called. The clerk will take the roll.
Acom.
Acom, Minnetonka, present.
Acom, Minnetonka, present. Agbadge.
Badger, Minneapolis, present.
Agbadge, Minneapolis, present. Ackland.
Ackland, St. Paul, present.
Ackland, St. Paul, present. Albright.
Albright, Prior Lake, present.
Albright, Prior Lake, present. Anderson.
Anderson, St. Paul, present.
Anderson, St. Paul, present. Backer.
Backer, Browns Valley, present.
Backer, Browns Valley, present. Bonner.
Bonner, St. Paul, present.
Bonner, St. Paul, present. Barr.
Barr, East Bethel, present.
Barr, East Bethel, present. Baker.
Baker, St. Paul, present.
Baker, St. Paul, present. Becker, Finn.
Becker, Finn, Roseville, present.
Becker, Finn, Roseville, present. Bennett.
Bennett, St. Paul, present.
Bennett, St. Paul, present. Berg.
Berg, Rogers, present.
Berg, Rogers, present. Bernardi.
Bernardi, New Brighton, present.
Bernardi, New Brighton, present. Bierman.
Bierman, Apple Valley, present.
Bierman, Apple Valley, present. Bliss.
Bliss, Brook Lake Township, present.
Bliss, Brook Lake Township, present. Bow.
Bow, Chanhassen, present.
Bow, Chanhassen, present. Bolden.
Bolden, Rochester, present.
Bolden, Rochester, present. Burkle.
Burkle, Skagen Township, present.
Burkle, Skagen Township, present. Carlson. Carlson. Christensen.
Christensen, Stillwater, present.
Christensen, Stillwater, present. Daniels.
Daniels, St. Paul, present.
Daniels, St. Paul, present. Doubt. Doubt, St. Paul, present. Davids. David, St. Paul, present. Davney.
Dabney, St. Paul, present.
Davney, St. Paul, present. Damuth.
Damath, Cold Spring, present.
Damuth, Cold Spring, present. Detmer. Detmer. Drazkowski.
Drazkowski, St. Paul, present.
Drazkowski, St. Paul, present. Eklund.
Eklund, International Falls, present.
Eklund, International Falls, present. Edelson.
Edelson, Edina, present.
Edelson, Edina, present. Elkins.
Elkins, Bloomington, present.
Elkins, Bloomington, present. Erickson.
Erickson, St. Paul, present.
Erickson, St. Paul, present. Feist.
Feist, St. Paul, present.
Feist, St. Paul, present. Fisher.
Fisher, St. Paul, present.
Fisher, St. Paul, present. Frankie.
Frankie, St. Paul Park, present.
Frankie, St. Paul Park, present. Franson.
Branson, St. Paul, present.
Franzen, St. Paul, present. Frazier.
Frazier, New Hope, present.
Frazier, New Hope, present. Frederick.
Frederick, St. Paul, present.
Frederick, St. Paul, present. Freiburg.
Freiburg, Golden Valley, present.
Freiburg, Golden Valley, present. Garofalo.
Garofalo from Farmington, present.
Garofalo, Farmington, present. Gomez.
Gomez, St. Paul, present.
Gomez, St. Paul, present. Green.
Green, Foston, present.
Green, Foston, present. Greenman.
Greenman, Minneapolis, present.
Greenman, Minneapolis, present. Grossel.
Grossel, Clearbrook, present.
Grossel, Clearbrook, present. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, Glencoe, present.
Gruenhagen, Glencoe, present. Haley.
Haley, Red Wing, present.
Haley, Red Wing, present. Hamilton.
Hamilton, St. Paul, present.
Hamilton, St. Paul, present. Hanson R.
Hanson R., St. Paul, present.
Hanson R, St. Paul, present. Hanson J.
Hanson J., Burnsville, present.
Hanson J, Burnsville, present. Hassan.
Hassan, Minneapolis, present.
Hassan, Minneapolis, present. Hausman.
Hausman, St. Paul, present.
Hausman, St. Paul, present. Heinrich.
Heinrich, Anoka, present.
Heinrich, Anoka, present. Heinzman.
Heinzman, St. Paul, present.
Heinzman, St. Paul, present. Her, St. Paul, present. Hertos.
Hertos, Greenfield, present.
Hertos, Greenfield, present. Hollins.
Holland, St. Paul, present.
Hollins, St. Paul, present. Hornstein.
Hornstein, Minneapolis, present.
Hornstein, Minneapolis, present. Howard.
Howard, Richfield, present.
Howard, Richfield, present. Hewitt.
Hewitt, Rosemount, present.
Hewitt, Rosemount, present. Igo.
Igo, St. Paul, present.
Igo, St. Paul, present. Johnson.
Johnson, St. Paul, present.
Johnson, St. Paul, present. Jordan.
Jordan, Minneapolis, present.
Jordan, Minneapolis, present. Jurgens.
Jurgens, St. Paul, present.
Jurgens, St. Paul, present. Keeler.
Keeler, St. Paul, present.
Keeler, St. Paul, present. Keel.
Keel, Hammond Township, present.
Keel, Hammond Township, present. Cleveland.
Cleburne, Plymouth, present.
Cleveland, Plymouth, present. Cagle.
Cagle, Spring Lake Park, present.
Cagle, Spring Lake Park, present. Katiza-Watoon.
Katiza-Watoon, Eden Prairie, present.
Katiza-Watoon, Eden Prairie, present. Cosnick.
Cosmic, St. Paul, present.
Cosnick, St. Paul, present. Creshaw.
Creshaw, Little Falls, present.
Creshaw, Little Falls, present. Lee.
Lee, St. Paul, present.
Lee, St. Paul, present. Liebling.
Liebling, Rochester, present.
Liebling, Rochester, present. Lilly.
Lily, North St. Paul, present.
Lilly, North St. Paul, present. Lippert.
Lippert, St. Paul, present.
Lippert, St. Paul, present. Lislegard.
Listlegard, St. Paul, present.
Lislegard, St. Paul, present. Long.
Long, St. Paul, present.
Long, St. Paul, present. Lucero.
Lucero, Wright County, present.
Lucero, Wright County, present. Lewick.
Lewick, St. Paul, present.
Lewick, St. Paul, present. Mariani.
Mariani, St. Paul, present.
Mariani, St. Paul, present. Markwart.
Markwart, Dilworth, present.
Markwart, Dilworth, present. Mason.
Mason Egan, present.
Mason, Egan, present. McDonald.
McDonald, St. Paul, present.
McDonald, St. Paul, present. Mecklin.
Mecklen, Becker Township, present.
Mecklin, Becker Township, present. Miller. Miller, St. Paul, present. Moeller.
Moeller, Shoreview, present.
Moeller, Shoreview, present. Moran.
Moran, St. Paul, present.
Moran, St. Paul, present. Morrison.
Morrison, Deep Haven, present.
Morrison, Deep Haven, present. Mortensen.
Mortensen, St. Paul, present.
Mortensen, St. Paul, present. Mueller.
Mueller, Austin, present.
Mueller, Austin, present. Munson.
Munson, Lincoln Township, present.
Munson, Lincoln Township, present. Murphy.
Murphy, Hermantown, present.
Murphy, Hermantown, present. Nash.
Nash, Waconia, present.
Nash, Waconia, present. Nelson M.
Nelson M., Brooklyn Park, present.
Nelson M. Brooklyn Park, present. Nelson N.
Nelson N., St. Paul, present.
Nelson N. St. Paul, present. New Brindley. New Brindley, St. Paul, present. Newer.
Newer, Minneapolis, present.
Newer, Minneapolis, present. Novotny.
Navani, Elk River, present.
Novotny, Elk River, present. O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll, St. Paul, present. Olson B.
Olson B, St. Paul, present.
Olson B, St. Paul, present. Olson L.
Olson L. Duluth, present.
Where's that? Olson L. Duluth.
Olson L. Duluth, present.
Olson L. Duluth, present. O'Neill.
O'Neill, St. Paul, present.
O'Neill, St. Paul, present. Pulowski.
Pulowski, Winona, present.
Pulowski, Winona, present. Petersburg.
Petersburg, St. Paul, present.
Petersburg, St. Paul, present. Farr.
Farr, LeSueur, present.
Farr, LeSueur, present. Pearson.
Pearson, Rochester Township, present.
Pearson, Rochester Township, present. Pinto.
Pinto, St. Paul, present.
Pinto, St. Paul, present. Poston. Excused. Pryor.
Pryor, Minnetonka, present.
Pryor, Minnetonka, present. Quam.
Byron, present.
Quam, Byron, present. Raleigh.
Raleigh, St. Paul, present.
Raleigh, St. Paul, present. Rasmussen. Rasmussen, St. Paul, present. Ryer.
Pryor, Egan, present.
Ryer, Egan, present. Richardson.
Richardson, Mendota Heights, present.
Richardson, Mendota Heights, present. Robbins. Robbins, St. Paul, present. Sandell.
Sandell, Woodbury, present.
Sandell, Woodbury, present. Sandsted.
Sandsted, St. Paul, present.
Sandsted, St. Paul, present. Schumacher.
Schumacher, Laverne, present.
Schumacher, Laverne, present. Schultz.
Schultz, Duluth, present.
Schultz, Duluth, present. Scott.
Scott, St. Paul, present.
Scott, St. Paul, present. Stevenson.
Stevenson, St. Paul, present.
Stevenson, St. Paul, present. Sundin.
Sundin, St. Paul, present.
Sundin, St. Paul, present. Swazinski. Swazinski.
Swazinski, St. Paul, present.
Swazinski, St. Paul, present. Tice.
Tice, St. Paul, present.
Tice, St. Paul, present. Thompson.
St. Paul, present.
Thompson, St. Paul, present. Torkelson.
Torkelson, St. Paul, present.
Torkelson, St. Paul, present. Erdahl.
Erdahl, Acton Township, present.
Erdahl, Acton Township, present. Vang.
Vang, St. Paul, present.
Vang, St. Paul, present. Waslowick.
Waslowick, St. Paul, present.
Waslowick, St. Paul, present. West.
West, St. Paul, present.
West, St. Paul, present. Winkler. Winkler, St. Paul, present. Walgamot. Walgamot, St. Paul, present. Zhang Jie.
Joan J. St. Paul, present.
Zhang Jie, St. Paul, present. Zhang Ti.
Zhang T, St. Paul, present.
Zhang Ti, St. Paul, present. Joachim.
Joachim, St. Paul, present.
Joachim, St. Paul, present. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman, St. Paul, present. Carlson.
Carlson, Bloomington, present.
Carlson, Bloomington, present. Detmer. Detmer.
Members using the remote voting technology should make sure to press the green yes button so that we know that you intend to use the remote voting technology. The clerk will close the roll. A quorum is present. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 92nd Session, 2021, 10th day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Thursday, February 4th, 2021.
If there is no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Comparison reports. A copy of this order of business is online. If there is no objection, the motions will prevail. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail and the substitutions will be made. Reports of standing committees and divisions. A copy of this order of business is online. If there is no objection, the reports will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the reports are adopted. Second reading of House files.
Second reading, House File number 88.
Second reading.
Second reading, House File 310.
Second reading. Second reading of Senate files.
Second reading, Senate File number 258.
Second reading. Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction today. The chief clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction and first reading of House Files 791 through 911.
First reading, House Files 791 through 911. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce the adoption by the Senate of the following House Concurrent Resolution herewith transmitted. House Concurrent Resolution number 4, a concurrent resolution relating to adopting deadlines for the 2021 regular session. Message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following Senate file herewith transmitted. Senate File number 475, an act relating to health. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate.
First reading of Senate files.
First reading, Senate File number 475, an act relating to health. The bill is being referred to the Committee on Health, Finance, and Policy.
Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there is no objection, we will take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail.
Morrison moves that House File number 269 be recalled from the Committee on Ways and Means and be re-referred to the Committee on Finance and Policy.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Morrison, to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That is my motion, and I have spoken with the chairs of Ways and Means and Commerce, and they both agree. This is regarding House File 269, which would allow Minnesota to join the Psychology Interjurisdictional Compact, which allows interstate practice of psychology via telecommunications.
Any discussion to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails.
Eklund moves that House File number 682 be recalled from the Committee on Commerce, Finance, and Policy and be re-referred to the Committee on Labor, Industry, Veterans and Military Affairs, Finance, and Policy.
The member from Koochiching, Representative Eklund.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That is my motion. The bill was referred to the Commerce Committee, but provisions affected will fall under the purview of the Department of Labor. So the bill falls squarely within the Labor Committee jurisdiction. I've spoken with Chair Stevenson of Commerce, and he supports the motion.
Any discussion to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails.
No.
Mortensen and others introduced House Resolution Number 2, providing for the impeachment of Timothy J. Walsh, Governor of the State of Minnesota. The resolution is being referred to the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration. McDonald moves that House Concurrent Resolution Number 5 be recalled from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration and be placed upon its adoption.
The member from Wright, Representative McDonald, to your motion.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, thank you. My motion is also shared by Representative Tice, Representative Baker, and Representative Gruenhagen. Last year, the governor said, and I quote, "We don't disagree with Republicans because they're Republicans. We disagree with Republicans because they're wrong every damn time." Really, Governor? Not very Minnesota nice. I thought we were all in this together. If you want to talk about being wrong many times, let's look at his record. The governor was wrong about the number of deaths of COVID. He said there'd be 22,000 dead by July. He said we needed 2 weeks to slow the virus. He purchased a $6 million building to store the bodies, which has never been used. He was wrong not to send National Guard troops in sooner to end the riots. He said on May 16th, you cannot isolate people indefinitely until that vaccines and therapeutics happen. He did just that. And finally, he is wrong in keeping his emergency powers. At this time, the legislature is 100% fully capable of making decisions, and important decisions like getting our kids back to school. Kids are falling behind and failing in many areas, academically, physically, and emotionally. It's devastating. In the meantime, our parochial and private schools have been in person open this whole school year with great successes for their children. There may have been a time back in March when urgent action from the governor was needed, but those days are long past. We should be restoring balance to the capital, taking our regional needs into account to manage the situation rather than one-size-fits-all mandates. It is unfortunate that the House majority still today continues to show an unwillingness to check the governor's powers, and instead they're content on under an open-ended authoritarian rule that apparently will last indefinitely. The serious question we need to ask ourselves as legislators is whether we want 201 lawmakers in our legislature making the decisions, or would we just rather have one executive to call all the shots? It is long past time to restore balance in our representative government, but that will not happen as long as the House majority is unwilling to participate in the decision-making progress. You know where the real emergency is today? It's in our twin cities. It's a shame was what happened to our cities. Carjackings, just yesterday with an Amber Alert. Robberies, shootings are all up 500% from last year. This morning on the Twin Cities News Talk Radio, Justice and Drew, they had business owners call in and property owners on robberies happening on a daily basis. The Happy Gnome just up here on Capitol Hill was robbed, and yet crickets. The mayor, council members, the governor, nothing's done. Those are emergencies. Now, I encourage all my friends on the other side of the aisle at this time to stick with us and vote and bring balance of power back to the people of the state of Minnesota.
The issue before the House is the McDonald motion to move House Concurrent Resolution Number 5 from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration. The member from Sibley, Representative Gruenhagen.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative McDonald, for bringing this forward. I'm not going to cover points I've covered in the past or what Representative McDonald so well stated, but I do want to give you an example here locally. I have a part-time secretary who works up at a parochial school in my district here. Parochial schools, their enrollment has surged because they're doing in-class education. In fact, they got so many applications, they had to turn some children away. They just don't have the room. Now, they had a COVID outbreak in, I think it was the end of October, beginning in November. They decided to go to a hybrid model. So local control, they decided to go to a hybrid model. They did for about 10 days, and then they went back to in-person, face-to-face education for the children. Members, we're paying these superintendents and school board members, well, school board members don't get that much, I guess, in most cases, but administrators, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. They're highly intelligent and experienced. All of you know I was on for 16 years, met a number of superintendents, and, you know, I was impressed with their expertise and background. Why can't we go back to in-person education for our children? You know, it's the lower income children and the special ed that are actually hurting the worst. And a lot of them are minorities. We need to return these children into the school face to face. The CDC recommends it. A Biden administrator or agency head just recently said they should return. They're not super spreaders. And I thought it was interesting that the press person for the Biden administration said that, well, that was her personal opinion, that she wasn't stating that as the head of her agency. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, I think you have children and grandchildren in your district. The clear medical evidence is that the children should return to the classroom. So I would urge you to support Representative McDonald's ending of the emergency powers and bring our children back into the classroom. With that, members, I want to thank Representative McDonald again for bringing this forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The member from Stearns, Representative Tice.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker. I just want to thank Representative McDonald for bringing this forward for many different reasons. The first is the lack of hearing our constituents at the Capitol. We have been so remiss in making sure that all voices are heard at the Capitol, which means we aren't doing our job. I hear from so many of the folks in my district, people I have known for years and years, being a part of the Central Minnesota Builders Association, part of the Chamber of Commerce, and many others, that they are hurting to the point where they don't know what they're going to do next. They are losing hope. And that to me is a tragedy. We have got our wedding venues who can't hold but a handful of folks. But we can go to Walmart and they're not counting how many folks are there. I don't understand it. And we're not hearing the voices of these folks where they should be, here at the Capitol. We need to go back to the way we are constitutionally dedicated to do. We need to come back and have our voices heard and be the governing body that we are meant to be, that we were elected to be. We need to get back whole. Folks are getting so discouraged. We are going to have such a mental health issue when we do finally get back to the way things are supposed to be, where people have a voice in what happens to them. They don't right now, and they are so frustrated. They are incredibly frustrated. It just breaks my heart that this is being done to our constituents, to the folks of Minnesota, to feel this hopelessness, to be so discouraged, so frustrated. And I can't do anything about it. And that's just not right. Thank you, Representative McDonald, for bringing this forward again. We need to get back to the way the legislature was meant to work. We need to get back to having everybody involved. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Winkler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I think that Representative Tice said it pretty well. We need to get back to the legislature doing its work, which is exactly why we have a subcommittee that has been working on these various issues since early in the session. I believe there's another hearing coming up on Friday to study the governor's powers and whether or not the legislature can effectively involve itself in the combating of a global pandemic. The McDonald motion simply takes a resolution out of one committee and moves it to the floor so that we could have a vote at that point in time on completely ending the governor's emergency powers. We actually need the legislature to be involved in doing its work, examining executive orders, examining Chapter 12, deciding whether or not it is safe or responsible to end those emergency powers now. That is why we have a legislative process. That's why we allow for public input. And so this motion is premature, and members, I ask you to vote no.
The member from Wright, Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have been listening to the people of Minnesota for the last 10 months. The time is now to keep this in a committee to see how the mandates have been affecting Minnesotans. Are you kidding me, Representative Winkler? We know how they're affecting Minnesotans. It's harmful. Yes, we are keeping our loved ones safe. We're washing our hands, we're practicing social distancing, we're wearing masks, we're being responsible because we love our elderly and those who are susceptible. But to keep this in a committee to find out the ramifications and not do our job, we as legislators are not doing our job by listening to the people of Minnesota and getting rid of the governor's executive orders. Well, not his executive orders, but his emergency powers. Some of the executive orders we could get rid of, like Representative Tammy Tice mentioned with weddings. As a wedding photographer and knowing of many venues throughout the state of Minnesota, it is affecting tremendously some of the most glorious and beautiful times in people's life, their marriage, their holy matrimony, having to be canceled or postponed, or just a limited amount of family members and loved ones there. We know the ramifications. We do not need to keep this in a committee to find out what's best to do. This needs to come to the floor for a vote now, and we need to do it soon. As you're probably aware, the state of Iowa just lifted all their mandates. No mask mandates, social distancing. They're opening up the schools and all the gatherings, but they will do it responsibly because the governor said they trust and respect the people of Iowa. And our surrounding states will most likely do the same thing. We'll be an outlander. And it's not good for the families. It's not good for our schools. It's not good for Minnesota. Let's put the power back to the legislature, back to those who listen to the people of Minnesota in our districts. And a majority of them in my district want the governor's emergency powers to end. It's 10 months too long. Please join us in voting. And with that, Madam Speaker, I do ask for a roll call.
Representative McDonald requests a roll call. Are there 15 hands? There's 11 people in the chamber, so we will need at least 4 members to email hands@house.mn to get a roll call.
All right, just sent one.
There are 15 hands. There will be a roll call. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the McDonald motion.
I like seeing that board light up instead of hearing that roll call.
Members using the remote voting technology, please vote.
Mike, we can't see the screen.
Madam Speaker.
As soon as you are through attempting to vote, we will call those not able to vote by the remote voting technology.
Madam Speaker.
We're in a roll call, Representative McDonald. We will call your name if you are unable to vote via the technology.
Madam Speaker, can the screen be moved back to the board on the Zoom call, please?
Thank you, Eric.
Madam Speaker, remote members cannot see the board.
Will the clerk call the names of all those members who haven't voted yet?
Becker Finn. Becker Finn. Berg.
No.
Berg, no. Eklund.
No.
Eklund, no. Gomez.
Gomez, no.
Gomez, no. Greenman.
Greenman, no.
Greenman, no. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Hanson J. Hanson J. Hausman.
Hausman, no.
Hausman, no. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, no.
Hornstein, no. Jordan.
Jordan, no.
Jordan, no. Mariani.
Mariani, no.
Mariani, no. Mason.
Mason, no.
Mason, no. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Nash.
Nash votes aye.
Nash, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, no.
Sandell, no. Sandsted.
Samsted, no.
Sandsted, no. Thompson. Thompson.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thompson.
It's not up in the, yes. Thompson, yes.
Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Becker Finn.
Becker Finn, no.
Becker Finn, no. Hanson J.
Hanson J, no.
Hanson J, no. Thompson.
You guys, Thompson, no.
Thompson, no.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 62 ayes and 70 nays, the motion does not prevail. Announcements. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 4:30 p.m. Wednesday, February 10th, 2021.
Representative Winkler moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 4:30 p.m. Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The House stands adjourned until 4:30 p.m. Wednesday, February 10th, 2021.